expected. But I gather the number of variants, is the proper word exploding in Ontario?
The number of cases of particular variants is in fact exploding in the sense of it's following the trend of exponential growth. The number of new variants, meaning number of different variants, it's staying pretty stable. We have about 3 new ones, P1, B1351, and B117.
Can you still isolate that to a particular region, or is it just a matter of time where we see Manitoba and other provinces have similar numbers, or do we know?
Well, they are clustered in some regions, absolutely, but they're starting to spread, and we can contain them to some extent, and we should try to do so because we slow down the overall path towards dominance. But eventually they will become the dominant strain. That's why the race is still on. Can we vaccinate ahead of the eventual dominance of B117? The answer probably isn't yes right now, but we'll get there eventually, and so this pandemic will eventually be over, even though right now we're in a bit of a dire predicament, as I seem to say every time I'm on this show. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of containment going on in Europe right now with shutdowns. Is that a preview of coming attractions here in Canada?
Yeah, it might be. So we're looking at Germany, Italy, France, Poland. These are places where the third wave is definitely upon them. Sweden as well. And places like Italy and France have not been able to vaccinate as quickly as they would have hoped. UK, on the other hand, vaccinated very, very fast. And so they are not suffering the results of the third wave as deeply as one might have expected. So there's a sign there that vaccination works, and that is our best path forward. But yeah, so far during this pandemic, we've been about 2 or 3 weeks behind what happens in Europe, so I expect we will see the same thing here.
I would assume that in the UK, they're mostly using the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine where it was created. We've had some time with the variants being quote unquote out there. What do we know with these different vaccines that are available in Canada and how they work with these strains?
So everything seems to work well on B117, the UK variant, including the AstraZeneca one. The AstraZeneca vaccine does not seem to work as effectively on B1351, the South African strain. That shouldn't concern us, because that one is not prevalent yet in Canada. And really our goal here is to get sufficient immunity against B117 and COVID Classic as quickly as we can. So yeah, that's exactly how the UK has managed to contain their situation, by using the AstraZeneca dose at scale. And that's certainly a path we can take.
The National Advisory Committee on Immunization reversing course today in this country, saying, listen, before we said you couldn't use the AstraZeneca vaccine or Covishield, as we know it here in Manitoba, on people over 65 until we know if it works really well for them. Today, NACI saying, yeah, go for it. Manitoba so far saying we're going to hold the course and use it for people 64 and under. Your thoughts on that?
It was wrong of NACI in the first place to say don't use it on those over 65. We had real-life data coming out of places like England and Scotland showing that it is quite effective. The reason they were hesitant at first was that the clinical trial data had not enrolled enough older people to compute the efficacy number confidently. But we have that real-life data, so I don't know why they hesitated in the first place. It's the right thing to do to open it up to older people, in my opinion. I don't blame provinces, though, for wanting to restrict it to a slightly younger group. Why not? You can use the mRNA doses if you have them on the older population. If you have sufficient vaccine, you can use these things strategically and targeted toward certain demographics. So that's my position on things, and I think Manitoba is probably doing something that's appropriate for Manitoba.
Raywat Deonandan joins us. He is one of our house epidemiologists here. He's from the University of Ottawa.
In 5 minutes on